Hidden within the depths of England and Norway are some of the most secret weapons that you can find in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And while there is a ton of unique weapons that you will come across along your journey, none are quite like what you will find in this video, as today we are going to be covering 10 flawless or mythical rarity weapons that you can find in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Starting with the legendary spear once wielded by Odin himself, known as Mjolnir. Now, Odin's Spear is one of the most unique weapons that you will find in the game, as it comes with a perk where the spear's reach is extended by a force field. And boy, can you notice that force field when in combat. Not only is this force field very noticeable when in combat, but also when the spear sits on your back, it gleams with this strange kind of glow, making it even more awesome. Now again, going back to its perk, because of this, it makes it one of the best melee weapons to use at range. I mean, spears in general have a great reach, so extending that even further is only a recipe for success, especially if you dual wield this with another spear. Anyway, how do you get this weapon? Well, to be able to find Mjolnir, you'll need to be near the end of the game and have completed most of the story arcs and provinces in England that are shown on your alliance map. You need to do this all the way until you get to a story arc known as a Brother's Keeper. This is where your brother Sigurd will ask you to return with him to Norway to a region known as Hordefylke. Now, I'll try to avoid spoilers as much as possible here, but essentially this story arc will take you to a secret cave called Valhalla, and you'll have to do a few quests here. To cut it short, once you have completed those quests in this cave and essentially completed this story arc, it will take you back to your settlement. From there, if you simply travel back to Norway and make your way through the same cave again, and this time take a left instead of where the quest would normally lead you, which is to the right through the big door, at the end of the left side of the cave is where you will find Mjolnir lodged into the side of a wall. A true mythical weapon in all its glory, and definitely one you guys should pick up when you are far enough through the story. But now let's move on to a weapon you can actually get a little earlier on, and this is known as Galletas Axe. This two-handed Dane axe is the prized weapon of the famous shield maiden Lagertha, who is the first wife of Ragnar Lothbrok. So you can expect this one to be pretty damn good. Now, the weapon itself comes with a perk that increases your critical hit damage when surrounded by more than 3 enemies at once, making this a great weapon to use, especially for the late game. It's also one of the few axes in game that defaultly comes in that flawless rarity. Now, to get this weapon, you'll need to head to a location known as Housesteads, which can be found in the province of Yorkshire in this location on the map. Once here, you will find a building that is covered in snow and is blocked by a stone wall. Now, of course, you'll need to blow out that stone wall to get inside, and usually this can be done by finding and launching an explosive oil jar at it, but unfortunately, I couldn't find an oil jar anywhere in this location, so a good workaround for this is to use the ability known as Incendiary Powder Trap. You can get this ability quite early on in the game, and if you don't have it yet, I'll leave a link in the description below that will show you where to get it. Anyway, once you have blown out the hole in the wall, simply walk inside and you'll find a chest to which Lagertha's flawless Dane axe resides. Definitely a great weapon for you guys to pick up. And now let's talk about a weapon I haven't seen literally anyone talk about or show online, and this one's called the Mark of Sol. The Mark of Sol is a flawless predator bow with a perk that increases your ability damage when your health is below 50%. It also has plus 20 damage when shooting people in the back. Also, because it's a predator bow, you will have that extra boost to headshot damage as well. Now, to get this flawless bow, you will need to get your settlement Ravensthorpe to level 6, which pretty much means constructing all of the buildings you possibly can and upgrading the ones that have a few stages. The cool thing about this though is the fact that it can be done over time as you progress through the game. You'll earn some of the levels for completing certain alliances, and the rest can be done by collecting building supplies and raw materials that you can find in gold storage containers and for going on raids, so just make sure that you are raiding often. Anyway, once your settlement has reached level 6, if you head over to your merchant Yanli, she will have a special stock that becomes available to you. And within that special stock is the Mark of Sol Predator Bow, which she will be selling for the cool price of 700 silver. Oh, and side note, she will also be selling scrolls of knowledge for the exact same price. These beautiful things grant you a skill point when bought, and she'll be selling a total of 5 to you once that settlement reaches level 6. So some extra skill points also await you for doing this. Anyway, to move on to the next weapon now, we have Vordir's Bite. So Vordir's Bite is a flawless two-handed Dane axe that comes with a perk where heavy combo finisher hits have a chance to drop a poison cloud that will intoxicate all enemies around you. Again, making this a great weapon to use when fighting in a cluster of enemies. As always, the weapon view and stats for this will be shown on screen, with its notable stats being attack and stun damage. And let me tell you, this weapon felt like one of the more powerful ones within this video, so definitely pick this one up. To get this, you want to head over to the Cavella Outpost. This can be found in the northeastern region of Hamptonshire, in this location on the map. Once here, you will find a tunnel that is blocked by a movable shelf and also a stone wall. Once you move this shelf out of the way, simply blow a hole through the wall and make your way inside. Once inside, there will be one more shelf for you to move out of the way, and this will lead you to a room with a golden chest where the Vordir's Bite resides. But while we're on the subject of two-handed weapons, let's talk about Hemmings' Flawless Axe, as this one can be easily missed. Hemmings Axe is another flawless two-handed Dane axe that comes with a perk that increases your heavy damage when below 50% health. Perfect for those playing on the harder difficulties of the game, where you will most likely be taking a bit more damage. That extra damage boost can definitely help out after all. Now, you pretty much get this weapon as you progress throughout the main story, but again, it can be easily missed. For this, you have to have completed the Nottinghamshire arc, which ends with the Tale of Two Jarls. Once completed, if you report back to Ranvi and then go into your room and check your mail, you'll receive a letter from Vili, who thanks you for your aid and offers you his father's axe known as Hemmings Axe in return. You'll find this perched up against the table, simply waiting to be picked up. And again, while this is something that is just given to you throughout the main story, it's definitely something I wanted to mention just in case some of you guys missed it. But anyway, now moving on to the flawless dagger that is Stengars Claw. Now the symbols and runes on the handle of this dagger recount the life of Suttungr, who is the proud Jotun who defended his home against Odin's malevolence. Also, if I pronounced the name wrong, I am incredibly sorry, I'm just terrible with pronunciations. Anyway, in my opinion, this is one of the better daggers you can find in the game. Mainly because I just love daggers and the constant stagger of enemies you can get with these things for each hit you land. Now in terms of the perk, it actually increases your critical hit damage after each hit. And this can stack up to 10 times. And because it's a dagger, you'll be able to get this stacked up very quickly. Now to get this weapon, it can actually be found in the western part of Winchester, in this location on the map. Once here, you will find a hole you can jump down that will lead you through a secret tunnel. It's quite a lengthy tunnel, but if you make your way all the way through to the very end, you'll find a chest to which you'll find Stengars Claw inside. Definitely a great dagger for you to pick up. And that leads us into our next weapon, which is the Soldier's Flail. The Soldier's Flail is a flawless one-handed weapon that comes with a perk which increases the weapon's speed when your health is at full. And the one thing I think we all love about flails is that secondary attack where you just whisk the thing around your head as you just aimlessly run into enemies. I love it. Anyway, the Soldier's Flail can be found in Chippenham, which is in the western area of Hamptonshire, in this location on the map. Once here, if you walk into the building and climb all the way to the top on the wooden beams, you will find a chest that is hidden in a secret room at the top. Inside of that chest is where you will find the flawless Soldier's Flail. And if you thought that weapon was good, well, wait until you see this one, as it's now time to talk about the Hammer of Legend itself, being Mjolnir. Yes, Thor's legendary hammer Mjolnir is actually in the game. However, it's probably the hardest weapon to obtain on the list. To give you the rundown, Mjolnir is a mythical hammer that comes with a perk where every single hit has a 33% chance to do stun damage to all enemies around you, and a 100% chance to deal stun damage if you perform a finisher with this thing, making it a pretty damn powerful weapon, but it can only be wielded by those who are deemed worthy. So how do you become worthy enough to obtain this thing? Well, you'll need to obtain all 5 pieces of Thor's legendary armor, and I've actually already done a guide on this, so if you don't have his armor yet or don't know how to get it, I'll leave a link down below to a full guide on how you can obtain this. Bear in mind though, it is quite a lengthy process. Anyway, once you do have Thor's full armor set, you will now be deemed worthy to wield the hammer. So if you head back over to Norway in the region of Hordafolk and go to this location on the map and make your way through the mountain, you'll come to find that Thor's mighty hammer is waiting for you stuck inside of a rock. You also get a very cool looking cutscene when you pick it up as well. But hey, while this weapon takes a long time to get, let's move on to something that doesn't take a long time to get, and this being the Deathskull. So the Deathskull is a flawless light bow that increases your critical chance the lighter you are. So if you like to rock a light armor set in the game, this bow might just be for you. As always, the weapon stats will be shown on screen, with its notable stats being attack, stun damage, and its weight. Now to get this weapon, you'll need to head over to the island south of Hamptonshire, in this location on the map. For this, you'll be traveling underwater, so once you're here, if you dive down and head towards the small hole in the wall, you will find a chest where this weapon resides. To be honest, it's going to be very hard to miss this if you're using your Odin sight when down here, so if you want a quick and easy flawless light bow, definitely get your hands on the Deathskull. And to finalize the video, we can't leave without mentioning the Sword of Legend, Excalibur. Now, Excalibur, alongside Odin Spear and Mjolnir, is one of the secret mythical weapons you can find in this game. And not only is this weapon really powerful, but it also has its own unique Isu kind of look going on, and some really cool sound effects to match. Now to find Excalibur, you'll first need to collect all 11 Secret Treasure of Britain tablets. 8 of these can be found in several caverns scattered throughout England, and 3 of them can be found on Zealots. So let's talk about the locations of the caverns first, and then afterwards we'll talk about the Zealots. Bear in mind, each cavern will hold a puzzle within it that does need to be solved. They are fairly easy to solve on your own, but if you do have trouble, I'll leave a link to a full guide in the description below. Anyway, the first cavern, named the Old Cellar, can be found in the middle of the Essex region, right here on the map. The second, named the Cavern of Trials, can be found on the eastern side of Kent. The third is in the northern region of Nottinghamshire, right here. The fourth can be found in Wiccan's Cave in Yorkshire, in this location. The fifth can be found in the eastern region of Sussex in the Santalach Mine. The sixth is over at the Red Lichen Cave in the eastern part of Hamptonshire, right here on the map. Heading on over to the western part of Hamptonshire now is where you will find the seventh in a location known as Wosig. And the final location is known as Grimes Graves, which is in the western part of East Anglia, in this location on the map. Anyway, onto the Zealots now, and these are pretty powerful, so do keep that in mind. The first Zealot, known as Hrothgar, can be found roaming near the High Rocks location in Sussex. Killing him will give you a tablet. Hike, or I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, is the second Zealot, and you'll find him roaming near Agnetum Tower in Essex. And the third Zealot, known as Woden, can be found roaming near Tonbridge Monastery in Kent, right here on the map. Again, each Zealot will drop a tablet when killed, and if they don't spawn when you first go here, try meditating a few times or fast traveling to and from this location, and hopefully they'll eventually spawn for you. Now obviously this was more of a quick fire guide on these locations, so again, if you need more details on this, check the description below. But once you do have all 11 tablets, you'll then want to head over to Merdin's Cave in Hamptonshire. Once in the cave, if you make your way all the way to the end, you'll find a bunch of pillars in which you'll need to place all 11 of the tablets inside. Once done, you can then pull out the legendary Excalibur from the stone that it sits in. And trust me, while this one's quite lengthy, it's 100% worth it. And that's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. It's always greatly appreciated, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.